Welcome to our next class of Python for mobile application development. In this class, I'm going to be showing you how you'll be able to create a to-do list application with database in Python. There's going to be a couple of complex methods that I'm going to be using in this class, but I would just suggest you make sure not to skip any part of this class because I'm going to break down all of the parts and show you all of the functionality and all the customizations that you're going to do and create the framework for getting the end result. So without any further ado, let's hop on into PyCharm and get started with programming. So as you can see, I have opened up PyCharm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new directory. Now the new directory, I'm going to name it ToDo List. Inside this to-do list, I'm going to create 3 Python files. Right-click, New, Python file. First off, I'm going to start off with the directory. This directory file is going to handle all of the database, like adding tasks, deleting tasks, and also updating and retrieving the task. So let's start off with the customizations at the beginning. First things first, I'm going to import the SQLite tree. There we go. If you have already installed Kivy and KivyMD, then it will be already on your library. Next thing is going to be a definition for connecting the DB. Connect DB. Okay. Open and close off the parentheses with a colon at the end. Now here I'm going to apply the con function. Con is going to be equal to SQLite tree.connect. Tree.connect. Inside this connect, I'm going to apply a specific variable, which is going to say ToDo.database. Next line is going to work with the cursor, where the cursor is going to have con.cursor. After this cursor, I'm going to apply an execution code. Cursor, then put in dot execute. Open up the parentheses. Now define in 3 of these quotations, and inside this, I'm going to make sure it is on this indentation level, as you can see over here, as execute or right before execute. Here, I'm going to make sure to turn on caps. I'm going to put in create table if not exists tasks. Okay. Now, after this, open up the parentheses, move on to the next line, and here I'm going to create the ID. Put in ID, integer, capital, all of them, primary key, auto increment. Okay, then put in a comma, move into the next line. Here I'm going to close off caps. Here I'm going to put in tasks, as you can see, task, text, not null. Okay. After this line, what you want to do is move on to the next line. And here, I'm going to make sure this is where this quotation or parentheses closes. In the next line, here is where everything will end. Okay. In the same way, I'm going to define in con.commit. This is going to commit to all of the variables. And here, I'm going to define con.close, which is going to make sure to close off all the variables and work accordingly. Now, in the next step, what we want to do is we want to apply all the definition, such as all of the functionality, such as adding task, deleting a task, editing a task, and also retrieving the task. Start off with the definition function here, def add underscore task. Okay, open parentheses. I'm going to define in task. After that, put in a colon. Here I'm going to put in con equal to SQLite tree. Now, as we have SQLite tree, we're going to make sure to connect all of these variables. There we go. Connect. Here, in the same way, just as we did SQLite tree connect is ToDo DB, so in the same way, we have to also apply ToDo.db. Now this DB is basically for the database. So in the same way, here after con, I'm going to put in cursor equal to con. So here we go. We have con dot cursor. After that, open up the parentheses. And after the parentheses, here I'm going to put in cursor dot execute. Okay. Here, double quotation. Then open up your caps. Insert into tasks. Okay. Enter into tasks, open parentheses, here define in task, close off the parentheses. Here I'm going to put in the value. After that, open up your quotation or parentheses. Inside the parentheses, I'm going to put in a question mark. And after that, this is where your quotation should end. After that, what you want to do is you want to put in a comma, put in a bit of space. Here, I'm going to open up the parentheses again. Here, I'm going to define it as task and then a comma. So this specific space is going to work as the parameter. Okay. So after this parameter ends, we want to also apply the con commit and con close. So con dot commit, open up the parentheses, con dot close. Okay. In the same way, I'm going to apply the delete task. What you can also do to, like, let's say, make sure to, reduce your workload or reduce your time is you can copy this, move on to the next line. Here, instead of add task, what you just want to do is take your cursor over here. I'm going to put in delete task. Delete and then task. Okay. So after this delete task, what you want to do is you want to define the task over here. Here we have con SQLite.connect and the same way ToDo.db. And the cursor is con.cursor, open up the parentheses. Now, here in execute, here instead of insert, what we want to type in over here is delete from tasks. Delete from tasks. Now, after that, what I want to do is we want to close off this task value. Okay. So instead of task value over here, we're going to type in where. After where, instead of value, I want to put in task. Now it should be equal, which you can see, equal to this value. Okay. This is how it should be. Question and then comma. Now in the same way, we're going to have the task value. And in the same way, we're going to apply con commit and con close. And that should be it for the delete task. So after delete task, we also want to apply the same thing for, let's say, let's just close this parentheses off. Here, put in def. Here, I'm going to put in edit underscore task. Open up parentheses, old underscore task, comma, new underscore task. Close off the parentheses, colon at the end. Here, after this, or let's say in this indentation level, I'm going to put in the con. Okay, con equal to SQLite connect in the same way con cursor. So I'm going to copy all of these. Another thing that you can do is you can also copy all of these things together and paste it in the same way. There we go. But obviously there's going to be different things on each and every one of those. Okay. So what you want to do first on this section is update it. So I'm going to delete all of these over here. I'm going to put in update. There we go. We have task. After that, I'm going to put in set. Here I'm going to put in task is equal to question mark. After question, I'm going to put in a bit of space. I'm going to put in where task equal to question again. And inside this parameter, this is not going to be task anymore. So here, I'm going to put in new underscore task. And after the comma, I'm going to put in old underscore task. That is basically it. Now we have this con commit and con close in the same way. In the same section or in the same way, I'm going to apply the last one, which is to retrieve the get task. So here I'm going to put in get underscore tasks. Open parentheses, close it off, colon at the end. Here I'm going to put in con is equal to SQLite 3. Okay, let's just copy and paste all of these again. There we go. Con cursor. Here in the execute, we have to change all of these values again. Here I'm going to put in this task first. I'm going to put in select task from tasks. Okay, there we go. Now, one thing is that you can see we have a specific parameter, which we're not going to be using over here. Instead of that, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have closed all of these off. And after that, we want to close off the whole tag. In the next line, I'm going to apply tasks. It's going to be equal, secondary bracket. I'm going to put in row, secondary bracket. I'm going to put in 0. After that 0, I'm going to put in for row in cursor dot fetch all. Okay, after fetch all, this is all that you have to do. And the last thing that you want to do is we're not going to be needing commit, but you want to close off the whole thing at the end. And in the last step, you want to return a specific value, which is going to return our tasks. So that is it for our directory. Now you want to save up that file, and then you want to create a new Python file. Now in the new Python file, we're going to be creating UI.py. So UI.py will manage the graphical interface and user interaction. So I'm just going to put in UI. Okay, so let's customize our UI. One thing that you have to do is you have to make sure you have the latest version of Python available whenever you customize your UI. Here I'm going to put in import tkinter as tk. I'm going to put in from tkinter, there we go, from tkinter, import message box. I'm going to import the database. There we go. Now, after the database, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in database dot connect underscore DB, which is going to connect all the databases together. Now, you're going to create the main application window. So for that, you have to use the function called root. So put in the root value. It's going to be equal to tk.tk, which is going to connect up all of the tkinter all together. Here I'm going to have a root title. So point out root dot title is going to be open parentheses, double quotation. I'm going to put in ToDo List App. Okay, root dot geometry, open parentheses. Here I'm going to put in 400 x 500 as the value. That is going to be the exact size. And one thing that you want to do is you have to make sure to put in the quotation before and also at the ending, so it is just validated better. Now we're going to load the task from our database. So start off with the def function. Def load underscore task, open parentheses, colon. Next line is going to be task underscore list dot delete, open parentheses. Here I'm going to put in 0, comma, and then put in tk dot KivyMD. After that, you want to close off the whole thing, move into the next line. I'm going to put in tasks is going to be equal to database. As you can see, database dot get underscore tasks. Okay, open up the parentheses. There we go. Now, after this one, I'm going to apply in the for function for task in tasks, colon, move into the next line, task underscore list dot insert. Then after that, open up the parentheses. I'm going to put in tk dot end. After that, comma, I'm going to define it as task. Okay, which is basically going to insert task into the list box. In the next section, we're going to add new tasks. So put in the def function again. Here I'm going to put in add underscore new task. Add underscore new underscore task. In the same way, open up the parentheses with the colon at the end. Here I'm going to define it as task equal to, let's say, task underscore entry dot get. Open up the parentheses. Here I'm going to put in if task. If task colon. Here I'm going to put in database. As you can see, I'm going to put in database dot add underscore task. Open up parentheses and define in the variable so everything is validated. I'm going to put in task underscore entry value, which is going to work as delete entry dot delete. After that, open up the parentheses. Here I'm going to put in 0 as the value, as there is nothing inside tk dot end as the end. After that, I'm going to put in load underscore tasks, open up the parentheses, and after that, I'm going to put in the else function. Else colon message box dot show. Let's say I'm going to put in a show warning if it doesn't work. There we go, show warning. Here I'm going to put in, let's say, double quotation warning. There we go. After that, I'm going to put in a comma, double quotation, task cannot be empty. Okay, so if you don't put any value and if you still want to add task, it will not work properly. Okay, so this is what you want to put in. In the same way, I'm going to make a definition for our delete task, or let's say our, let's say edit selected task, and so on. We have the load task done. We have the add new task done. And the next two steps is delete selected task and edit selected task. So delete selected task can sometimes be a bit confusing when you try putting in, let's say, simple variables. So I would suggest you try putting in the same thing like what I'm putting in right now. So here I'm going to put in delete selected task, parentheses, colon, move it to the next line. Here you want to use the try function instead of using if and else. Selected. There we go. We have selected task, but not this. There we go. Selected task is going to be equal to task underscore list dot get. Open parentheses. It's going to be task list dot curse or curse selection. Okay, curse selection. After that, I'm going to open and close off the parentheses, and that is it. In the next line, I'm going to apply the database so that it can select up the data or from the task list. So here, I'm going to put in database dot delete. After that, open up the parentheses. Here, I'm going to put in delete task. Okay, so as we have the delete task, open up the parentheses. Here I'm going to put in selected task. There we go. We have selected task over here. In the next line, I'm going to load up the task. Load underscore task, open up the parentheses, and that is it. In the next section, what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to apply an accept function. Accept, and after this accept function, what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to put in accept tk dot, let's say TCL error. Okay, so it's going to work a bit better. Put in a colon, and then you want to put in the message box for warning show. So here I'm going to put in message box dot show warning. There we go. In the same way, double quotation, warning, comma, double quotation, please select a task to delete. There we go. And we are done with this section too. Okay, now move on to the next section for our editing task. Now to edit our task, what we have to do is we have to apply the def function again. Def edit underscore selected task. Open parentheses, colon, move into the next line. Here I'm going to define it as try. Moving to the next section, here I'm going to put in selected underscore task. Okay, is going to be equal to task list.get. Task.list.get. Okay, open up the parentheses. I'm going to put in task underscore list underscore curse selection. Okay, this is what you want to put in, and open up the parentheses and keep it empty. As we have selected task, now we want to apply a new task. New underscore task. It should be equal to task entry. So put in task underscore entry because you want to put in a new value. Another thing that you want to put in is dot get, because the exact, or let's say the selected task will be edited and would be get or fetched from the task list. So after get, open up the parentheses and keep it empty. Here I'm going to put in the if function, new underscore task, put in a colon, move to the next line. Here I'm going to put in the database.entry task. Database.entry. Here I'm going to put an underscore and then put in task. Open up the parentheses. I'm going to put in selected task. After selected task, I'm going to put in comma. After comma, I'm going to put in new underscore task. After this line, I'm going to put in task entry. After task entry, I'm going to put in dot delete. After delete, open up the parentheses, 0, comma, tk dot end. After the end, you want to load up the task in the same way. Load, I'm going to put in underscore tasks, open up the parentheses and close it off and keep it empty. In the same way, I'm going to put in the else function, colon, I'm going to put in message box dot show warning. Inside of show warning, double quotation, warning, comma, double quotation. I'm going to put in enter a new task name. Okay, this is what you want to put in. And as we have used the else, we also want to define the accept function. Now we have accept. After accept, I'm going to put in message box dot show warning, double quotation, warning, comma, double quotation again. Please select a task to edit. There we go. And we are done with this section. Now we're going to customize our UI elements, which is the most simple part of this database, or let's say the UI. So let's start putting in the task entry first. Task underscore entry. It should be equal to tk dot entry. There we go. Now here, as we have the entry, we want to define in the root value, comma, and then put in the width value, which is going to be equal to, let's say, 30 in this case. I'm going to put in task underscore entry. Now here, I'm going to put in a pack for the patty. So here we have pack, open parentheses. I'm going to have a padding value, which is going to be equal to 10 in this case. Now, in the same way, I'm going to apply the add button, add underscore button. Here, the button should be equal to, let's say, tk dot button over here. Open up the parentheses, the root value, comma, then we have the text value, which should be equal to add task. There we go. Now, after this quotation, I'm going to put in a comma. After that, I'm going to apply in a command inside. There we go. We have a command is equal to edit selected task. Okay. Or what you can also do is add new task. So the command is going to be add new task, and that is it. Now you have to make sure you don't put in the parentheses or else it's not going to work. I'm going to put in add new task, open up the parentheses, and here you're going to just define in the button. So add underscore button. There we go. Add underscore button. And after that, you want to put in dot pack. That is all that you have to put in. In the same way, we're going to create our edit button. There we go. We have the edit button is equal to tk dot button, open parentheses, root, comma, text is going to be equal to, let's say, edit task. Comma, next line, command, it should be equal to, let's say, edit selected task. Okay, so this is what you want to put in. In the same way, I'm going to put in the edit button, dot pack, open up the parentheses, and keep it empty. Delete button, delete underscore button is equal tk button, open parentheses, you have the root value, comma, text, double quotation, delete task, comma, I'm going to put in command. There we go. Command is equal to delete selected task. There we go. We have add new task, edit selected task, delete selected task, and then in the next line, here I'm going to put in delete button dot pack, open the parentheses, keep it empty. And at the last one, what I want to put in is going to be the task list. Underscore list equal tk dot, let's say, list box. List box, open parentheses, define in the root value. I'm going to put in the width, which is going to be equal to 40, comma, height is going to be equal to 15. And the next one, I'm going to put in task underscore list dot pack. Open parentheses, I'm going to define it as patty equal to 10 as the last thing. Now here I'm going to load task when the app starts. So here I'm going to put in load underscore tasks, open parentheses and keep it empty. Create another section to run the application, which is going to be root.main loop. Open and close off the parentheses, and then you're good to go. Now the last file that I'm going to create over here is going to be running the UI. So this one is going to be called main.py. Here, I'm just going to put in import UI. Okay. Now you want to save up this file. You also want to save up this file. So after the whole thing has been done, what you want to do is just run the whole thing. And there we go. We have this UI. Now, if we type in over here, we can type in whatever we want. Let's say buying tickets. If I click on add task, this is how it's going to show up. If I do not put in anything and click on add task, we have a warning, task cannot be empty. So if you want to edit this task, we have to first off select it. Now we are going to rename it. Let's say buy food. If I click on edit task, you can see it has been changed. Now we can apply in more tasks, more than 1 or 2 tasks. Let's say buy tickets. Let's say go to the zoo. Now, if we want to remove any task, we can click on any of these. Let's say I want to remove this and click on delete task. There we go. It has been deleted. Now we're going to check out the errors. If I click on edit task, you can see, please select a task to edit. Now there are 2 limitations of edit task. If I click on this and if I click on edit task, it's not going to work unless you put in a specific name. Okay, so you have to put in a name and then click on edit task. Now, if I don't select up, let's say I'm going to put in a couple of tasks over here. And if I click on delete task, you have to select a specific task to delete. So if I click on this and delete it, there we go. It has been removed. So this is basically how your application will work. And obviously there are a couple of, let's say, limitations of this specific application because there are a lot of things that you have to do on your own. You can also define each and every one of these structures with specific functions and also customizations. Now, there are a couple of app features such as which I'm using, which is SQLite. Okay. On this one, we have this SQLite tree, which is basically used for task storage. When we use the Tkinter over here, Tkinter STK, it is basically used for user interface or user interaction. And you also have the add, edit, and delete task, and data is persistently saved automatically. So this is how functional your application is when you follow up what I did in this specific class. So thank you for watching this video up till the very end and hope you understood about everything in this class. I'm going to be applying all of these files and folders with the whole project by the end of this class. So if you need any help and if you have any confusion or question, feel free to ask us anytime. I'm always there to help you out. So without any further ado, let's move on to our next class of Python for mobile application development.